In this lesson, we're going to learn how to mirror our suspension parts to the other side. Alright, so we've created the suspension for the front and the rear, and now what we want to do is we want to get those to the other side. So we can do this by creating temporary groups. So starting here with the front suspension, let's select all of the pieces that we have for our front suspension, and that includes all the washers and screws and things like that, including our wheels and the tire parts. Okay, so we have all of those, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create just a temporary group by going to Group, and then Group, and I'm not going to worry about renaming it, and I want to simply mirror this over. Now I want to make sure that I'm mirroring in the Y direction, and our offset is set to 0, and I'm making this as a copy. I'm going to hit OK on this, and then grab my Move tool, and I'm going to move that over to the other side. Now I can go to my top view, and I could use my reference image to move this over, or if I want to make sure that it's exact, I can just copy over the value for my Y direction. Now I have created this car from the beginning to be set on the 0 point on the grid. So the value that I have here for this group is set to negative 31.884. So if I copy this value, hitting Control C, and then select this group and hit Control V on my Y value, and then replace the negative and remove that and hit Enter, that's going to put that exactly where it needs to be on the mirrored position here. Okay, so now that we have that, we can leave it just as it is. So it looks really nice along the fronts, not touching the car shell, and it's right where it needs to be. So let's do the same thing for the back side. Let's select all the parts, including our springs, washers, and screws. Okay, let's grab the wheel and the tire and all the parts that are involved here. And we're going to group those using Edit, Group, hit OK. And then let's use Mirror, and we're going to leave everything exactly the way it was as before. And I'm going to take the back tire. We have negative 42.25. I'm going to hit Control C with that highlighted, select my opposite group, and I'm going to hit Control V, and we're going to take that negative out of that number and hit Enter. Okay, and that should mirror it over exactly where it needs to be here. So if you want to go, you can go to your top view and check your reference image. Everything looks good. So we have everything mirrored over. We've got our wheels and suspension parts all together, and now what we need to deal with is all of the axle pieces here. So you can see here that our axle is in position as it should be right here, but we need to make some changes to our frame based on the wheel position here. So a little bit of an issue, as we can see already. Let's go ahead and just make a copy of this axle and hit OK. Let's put that into position in our top view. So let's get it centered up on our wheel, and let's make sure that we scale this, and I'm going to scale it in my X and Z, and then put that into position to where it fits right in there. So let's put that right in the center there. Okay, do our best with what we have available to us. The frame is in the way now, though. If we take a look at this, let's scale it back up so it fits in there. And you can see that we're cutting right through the frame. So we need to make a slight modification to our frame. So let's select that frame. Let's go to Editable Poly and Polygons. And we're going to select the polygons just on the front side here. And I'm going to move this down to where it fits underneath that axle. Okay, so we couldn't really see how that was going to fit until we had that axle fit into our wheels there. Alright, so now that we have that set, and when our axle is sitting right on top of that, we're ready to go with our car. So we've mirrored all of our pieces, we've got everything set up and ready to go. Now we're starting to get into those final details of our car. So now what we need to do is we need to create the bumper for our car, and then we also need to create the spoiler for that car. So we're going to get started with all of those pieces next.